Hello, welcome to Scrap Time. My name is Christine, and in this video we are exploring what if we put Distress Embossing Glaze over a matte texture paste and a transparent texture paste. So in these two examples, this one here is matte and this one is transparent, but they look the same. Why? Because we're on a white paper. How can you compare the two when the backgrounds are white? Well, don't fret. I made new samples. So here we go. So here is the matte opaque texture paste, and you see that the blue still stays blue. Now some of my little things have bubbled here, and that's because I'm drying these before the texture paste has a chance to dry. Excuse me. So you're like, okay, that's all great. How about the transparent texture paste? Here it looks so pretty in blue. And here is what happens. Because the embossing glazes are translucent and the texture paste is transparent, the paste are clear, and so the green is coming through. And so whatever you're using it on, whatever color, is going to affect the color of your embossing glazes. Here you can see the difference. So I'm going to do a demo with both pastes so you get to see it once again for yourself. So I have this card that's very colorful, and I'm going to do the opaque paste first. So here is the texture paste opaque matte. So it's also what I refer to as the white paste, because as you can see, it's white and solid. So I'm going to put this down. And I'm going to just bring it up the sides. I'm not going to cover the whole thing because I don't want a block of paste on there. So there you can see the pastes. Now when you're using stencils, it's good to give them a wash and clean them off, and as well as clean off your palette knife. Otherwise, that will stick to it. I'm going to just get a paper towel to wipe off my palette knife for now. That's all you have to do, just wipe it off. Okay, so now I'm going to fold this over so the glaze doesn't stick to that. And I'm going to use broken china. I think this probably had some nice blues there. It was probably more salty ocean over there. But I thought this will bring in some blue on this side. Now when doing this, you want to make sure your background is dry. Otherwise, the paste or the embossing glazes will stick to whatever wet inks you have. So you want to do this step once everything else is dried. I always like to put extra on because it'll come off and back into my jar. So you do that. And you can see there the paste. Now I'm just going to give it a moment to dry, so I'm going to set it aside and we'll do the other one. And then we'll come back and heat them both. So I'm going to just put my excess back in here. I'm going to leave it open since I'm about to use it again. So now I have this card. Again, it has some purples and that on it. And I'm going to use this stencil. Both of these stencils were from Holtz. They're the mini ones. After using the mini ones, I'm thinking I'm going to get the larger ones. I like the mini ones, but the larger ones will give me just more space on my project. Okay, so this is the transparent paste. Now you can see it's not as thick as the opaque one. It's a lot thinner. So sometimes when I use these really thin stencils with it, the paste might seep under a bit. So you just have to be aware of how much paste you're putting on. When you use a larger stencil, you won't really get that problem, but these ones are really fine. Again, I don't want to do a block on my card, and so I'm just sort of putting an area like that. Maybe fill in a bit of this up here. So that one might be harder to see because it's clearer. Gonna close it up. I don't want to get any powder inside my paste. And again, I'm just gonna fold my paper over so the paste doesn't get caught on there. I think this blue will look really nice with the purples. Okay. So you can see already that some of the paste seeped under a bit. It's not as the nice smooth lines as the other paste. So that's the one thing with the transparent, it being not as thick. You just have to be aware that that may happen. Okay, I'm going to put away my and then I'm going to just sort of wipe away some of my excess here so it doesn't end up on there. Okay, so here we have our two samples. This was with the opaque and this is with the transparent. So now we're going to emboss them. So you will see some bubbling because they aren't dry, but I don't mind that. I think it just adds more texture and fun. So you'll see here how all that blue is really standing up on the background. Even though we've gone over orange and reds and purples, it's still the same blue all the way across. So now we're going to do the transparent one. So this one is actually still quite blue, a lot more blue than I thought it might be. The other thing is, I forgot, you might want to pick up, you'll see that on my mat here, can you see that it's all condensation and wet? You should probably pick up your pieces when you are heating them so it doesn't, the condensation doesn't appear. So it's a lot more blue than I was expecting. I think it's partially because I heated it before it really had time to dry and clear, because as it dries it gets clearer. But if I put it side by side, you can see it has still two distinct looks. This one is a lot more blue, so it did take on some of the color underneath. So that's the difference when you're working with an opaque matte texture paste versus a transparent texture paste when you are using the Distress glazes that are transparent. You have to be aware of what's underneath and how it will affect the color on your project. Thanks for watching. Be sure to give our video a thumbs up and subscribe to Scrap Time videos on YouTube. In the meantime, here are a couple other videos you might be interested in watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.